Yeah, we had a wicked snowstorm for just a handful of hours this morning, and then it cleared up in the late morning, and then it warmed up this afternoon. So it's kind of comfy right now, and hopefully it melts a whole lot of shit. So this is a no particular reason drive stream. Just felt the urge to go live. I don't think I'm gonna go live tonight. Probably gonna want to keep to my own tonight. We'll see. We'll see about the future. We are in an interesting place where definitely the normies and definitely a lot of the weirdos that haven't figured out the transcendent level of the world stage that we are being subject to are not going to let this issue go away, because I think people are starting to psychically attach to the idea now. Because I certainly feel it, and it's definitely behind my impetus to talk about the quote Epstein files, is that it's too perfect in its connection, and they've too perfectly smoke screened it with, like, the Democrats are like prosecuting the Disney Channel's version of the fucking story. Like, if you know, if you've got a fucking, this is like a PG-13 like suspense thriller movie they're making out of this thing. You could give it a soft R because of the implied rape. But this is effectively PG-13. It's just being weird, being creepy, being illegally fucking inappropriate, that she's too young, and all the basic Euro-chauvinist stuff. And acting like, well, maybe we just gotta throw Donald Trump in prison for life, and this all goes away. And we can get back to our agenda, right? And it's disgusting because that is what they are doing. And both sides are working their way of failing you by the manner in which each is handling each way that they do it. It's kind of a double jeopardy kind of situation. You've got improper conduct occurring on both sides, and in both parties of the Congress. You got White House to Congress incongruent. You got Congress incongruent with itself. And I feel like it's there to bait us with a what you gonna do about it, while they play this fucking game and basically demoralize you by hoping that everybody buys one of their narratives, and that's good enough for them to buy one of those narratives. And it is also allure into making a country destroy itself too, because I think that in the aggregate there's more decisions being made that I like that go unnoticed because they are more anarchist approvable decisions, like a lot of the things happening in HHS, the dissolution of the DOE potentially, even if these things don't fucking happen per se. They have to posture it to happen because they know it's what the people want. And they're having a hard time not giving the people what they want, per se. Right? I mean, the people are certainly being force-fed things like, you know, an AI so powerful in your life that it requires data centers everywhere with enormous amounts of resources to maintain. We have a tremendous amount of people that they're in a scary level of addiction to the complacency of it all. You know, they'd rather watch a fucking shitty like performance of a football game, right? It's like half the time it's not even great performances anymore. You want to know why everybody's talking about hockey? Because DEI can't penetrate hockey. Because there's a whole lot of people that aren't white that ain't into it. And there's a whole lot of people that aren't men that want to put themselves in a fist fight that turns into a hockey game at some point. Right? Hockey is like the only American sport in which there are fan pages dedicated to it that are run by like neo-Nazis, Klansmen, like back in the day, you went to the internet anytime before like 2015, 2016 at least. You could go and fucking go to like a hockey website just by some independent hockey fan, and 99% of the hockey websites I've got like fucking like Hitler propaganda all over. They're tacky as hell, right? You know, it's just like you can't have any fun in a private, edgy fucking like server because, you know, it's like it's hockey, but you've got to be like a hockey and a Nazi guy at the same time because you're not going to ignore that. I don't know if these sites still exist. They might. They're definitely not even in a YouTube algorithm. Or a Google algorithm, rather. Good luck fucking finding. I don't think you can fucking find it on DuckDuckGo, to be honest. So people are either going to want to go with the way America wants to be via conservative standards or the way America wants to be via liberal standards, and they never want to make something or build upon something that's an underdog, right? Or if they do, they're building upon something that was already set up to fail because they don't know much yet, right? Like they say they get involved in a third party, thinking like making a third party is the way to go. You know, you're being proactive, you're believing in your ability to influence. These are all good things for your personal well-being in reality, even if things seemed good. Because it's part of you knowing what you're capable of, what you're capable of making your own, right? Comes with the territory of as you build your resume, you build your experience, you get a certain sense of what kind of work suits you, what kind of work doesn't suit you. Because of how natural you actually are in that role, right? So it's this enormous, overwhelming, complicated monstrosity of a thing that the world is, that the Epstein Files opens you up to. We've talked about this because of the difference between where I am at versus where the guy who's letting the Epstein Files wake him up is at. And I'm just at the very least, when it comes to certain things, I'm a contextual repeater for better sources than myself. When I am doing that, I make sure I let a person know where I think you can hear the best stuff about the thing, right? There are times where I think I'm pretty great at being my source of my thing that I am talking about. And that'll happen. Like, oh, I made this one video once. Oh, I did this one interview, and then I learned after that interview this, right? Etc., etc., right? The things I will be able to know intuitively once I'm done reading the Talmud, right? And it's not about any of the particular facts I can directly quote and cite. It's about how the slow internal process of having really listened, really read the words, and spent time with it afterwards to turn into something that will emerge through my mind or off my lips in the moment necessary. And usually what I say ends up being the perfect thing that needed to be said. It can make all the difference between a complete nobody walking into a massive public spectacle and beating somebody in an argument with one fucking statement and shocking the audience, persuading them to your point of view. versus somebody who maybe would have had to prepare a big thing, came out, parroted what they prepared in a nice, well-rehearsed speech, and it's like, well, good for you. You know how to rehearse a debate. But you don't leave the impact because it wasn't from the heart. It was all up here and ready to impress other people listening from up here and not working with this. And, you know, if you're in the academic forum, this may have to take a back seat. But never dismiss it. That's the last thing. So, when you take the thing for what it is, it gives you a certain amount of power back. Because of what is inauthentic, that has been unjustly lording over you, right? This whole apparatus of culture and economy that has been criminally propagated by the state on behalf of financiers who say invest this way or bust. And we're dealing with the bust. We're dealing with a punishment for finding our morals, our conscience, convictions. We're being punished by those that would hold the reins of Mammon. Amongst these Babylonian entities that serve the sorcerers in upping the system, Mammon is the chains of wealth, right? And so they try to provoke you by taking away money from the things you want to do. You want to have a big, beautiful fucking movie? Sorry. You don't get the budget for a big, fucking, beautiful movie because you don't want to make women look like they're better than men. You don't get shit now. And even if you could get shit, we don't got enough staff members. Because everybody's on principle not wanting to fucking make a movie because they don't like our producer. Because everybody knows he's a fucking rapist. Right? People don't, people don't fucking, oh, I wonder why movies suck now. These movies suck now because good men don't want to fucking help horrible people make money. And that's why movies suck now, period. That's literally the only fucking reason. Horrible men who fucking ruined all of the writing systems, where all the screenwriters and everything else were fucking being the amazing creative think tanks of process, of the dialogues, the human character development, the attention to history and continuities, storyboarding the vision, X, Y, and Z. People like Tom fucking Alton so I have this channel, who wrote the greatest movie ever butchered in production. So this is all part and parcel of the collapse, right? Because nobody listened to the economic conspiracy theorists that were trying to warn you about who investors were, what they would pull out. So when we did the right thing, we would know that they're going to punish us by pulling the money out of things. That was the most important thing that people needed to know, that needed to be worried about as far as dealing with Mammon, who we were also trying to warn you about. So Mammon pulls the rug out of Hollywood and everything else. Mammon was functioning, in cahoots with the CIA. The CIA works a hell of a lot with Belial. This is another demon who operates with coercion, with temptations, and as one could imagine, lies. Belial, be the lie of all, and or be the lie of El. And then you've got your motherfucking fascist enforcer. That's Moloch. And Moloch is also, as you know, where they're chiefly doing the kitty shit for. The horrible things to the innocent. To the little ones. And that is one very important trifecta within this shadow engine. That's all confirmable from Hitman testimony. I've talked about that with Bruce McDonald's Light of Darkness book, and you should read it. Required reading at this point. So, with the rug being economically pulled out from the United States, they can only actually pull the rug out on theoretical assets, future assets, things that technically don't exist. Because if the resources are here, if the people are here, then and whether you like it or not, people are going to want those resources and would prefer those people involved in getting them, including labor like myself. Then they can't take that away from you. The only thing they can do at that point is depreciate the dollar, which may or may not be a terrible happening on the horizon coming here. I cannot say. What I can say is that we have the opportunity to do things our own way at our own scale. And you can start your own production company. There isn't a law that says you can't film in another, there's laws about that in certain fucking respects, but just fucking go do some free things. Go be free in some way, shape, or form. Go film something. somewhere. Go figure out, go learn some fucking, like, principal photography, understand lighting, depth of field, and angles, and the 2/3 rule, and what speed you want to film a thing at, and so on and so forth. I mean, a lot of people do that. For years now, people have been doing skits and things like that on YouTube, right? And naturally, like I said, at scale, right? How does one make a film at budget? You know? I think that's what we get with. I think that's what Zaffy, the Cinema Vigilante. I like his channel. I think he's doing very interesting things, and he's taking his bit that he's doing, and he's trying to make something important out of it, right? Like he's doing like actual like contextual, like mature, like addressing issue kind of stuff with like what's in the Epstein files, right? He's taking demonetization risks as somebody who just got on his feet as like 100K plus fucking content creator. Like, he did the hard work to get that fucking super boost. And so like he's kind of like freshly not normie anymore, and he prides himself on the schizo side of things, and Schizo's brains do work great as conspiracy superheroes. So welcome to the fun, welcome to the club. He's a young guy. From what I understand from his testimony, sounds like he's a millennial. I don't think he's Gen Z. He seems like he's quite the adult. Probably in his 30s. If I paid attention to a couple more of his live streams, I can't remember if he actually said his age, or at least the rough, like, are you in your 30s? Are you in your 40s, right? He's definitely not in his 40s, because I heard him talking about, like, when a movie came out and he was in high school. So, like, he's definitely in his 30s. Like, I got a buddy named Zach who's a millennial, and he's probably like Zach's age. He's got to be younger than my sister. That's what I think. But anyway, I mean, everybody younger than me is a fucking millennial. I'm like right at the end of the fucking millennial cusp, right? As far as I'm concerned, once you're any more solidly into 1980, you're in millennial territory. I think people play a little too fast and loose with 83, 85, because I think with the amount of the 80s-isms that kind of get lost at such a young age, like I'm old enough to get just a little bit of serious memory of late 80s, right? Just enough to fucking, like, say, like, that feels a little bit like my Stranger Things experience, right? Just old enough for a little bit of that. Alright, so I think that's good for this stream. That's all I really had in mind. And really think about serving the noblest purpose that you can see that you're here for. Like me, I'm grandiose, I'm not saying be like me and go be a hero against some existential threat. But I am calling for people that are like me, that are heroes, that want to go after existential threats. But odds are that's not you, and I don't want to alienate everybody else in my audience that gets something out of me, just teaching them something and inspiring them, and etc. XYZ. So I'm going to try and take a peek here. Not too much for talking. I see people, I say hi. That's all I can really see. I'm not going to look any closer. All right, guys. I'll catch you guys later. I'll get this up when I'm done driving.